a California Crips gang member charged with fatally attacking and robbing a Mercer County man at a Bluewell grocery store in 2016, pleaded guilty Wednesday to a charge of second-degree murder. Orlando Davis, 44, of Bluefield was brought before Circuit Court Judge Mark Wills for a plea hearing. He entered a best interest plea to a charge of second-degree murder and second-degree robbery, both of which were accepted by the court. Davis, a high-ranking member of the Crips street gang, now faces a sentence of 40 years in prison on the second-degree murder charge and 5 to 18 years in prison on the second-degree robbery charge. He will be eligible for parole consideration after 15 years, although the state will argue against parole consideration at that time, prosecuting attorney George Seidler said. He is 44 now, and the earliest he could be out is 57. He is exposing himself to 40 to 58 years of penitentiary time. Mercer County prosecuting attorney George Seidler. He is 44 now, and the earliest he could be out is 57, Seidler said. He is exposing himself to 40 to 58 years of penitentiary time. Davis was indicted in 2016 on charges of first-degree murder in connection with the death of Randall Morgan, 54, of Bluefield, who was attacked and robbed by Davis in the bathroom area of the Bluewell Kroger. He was indicted on a charge of first-degree robbery and malicious assault in connection with an attack on Waylon Neal, then 18, of Bluefield, at the former Save-A-Lot store in Brush Fork. Davis, who was escorted into the courtroom in chains and an orange jumpsuit, maintained constant eye contact with Wills during the plea hearing. He responded "Yes, sir," to a multitude of questions asked by Wills. Orlando Davis, 43, of Bluefield was brought before Circuit Court Judge Mark Wills for a pre-trial hearing Monday. Davis was indicted in October 2016 on charges including first-degree murder. Sergeant A.P. Christian previously described Davis as a dangerous man who was a decision-maker for the infamous Crips gang in California. Davis did pause briefly when questioned by Wills about past drug use and any past history of mental illness. I experimented with drugs before," Davis said in response to the questions from Wills. "Do you understand you will be sentenced to 40 years in the penitentiary on the second-degree murder charge and you are not guaranteed parole after 15 years, but you will be eligible for parole after 15 years, Wills told Davis. "Yes, sir," Davis replied. Seidler said a best interest plea is entered when a defendant acknowledges there is sufficient evidence against him, and that he would likely be convicted by a jury of his peers. However, under the best interest plea, the defendant does not actually admit guilt. Seidler said Davis claimed to be under the influence of crack cocaine at the time of the offenses. Seidler said one of the reasons the state accepted the plea agreement, and the lesser charge of second-degree murder, is because there is not any actual forensic evidence linking Davis to the murder of Morgan. Seidler said the families of both victims were consulted regarding the plea agreement, and were all in agreement with it. Orlando Davis, 42, of Bluefield, was charged with murder, malicious assault and robbery after two Mercer County men were robbed on June 3. One man, Randall Morgan, died June 4 in a Roanoke, VA, hospital. Video surveillance at both the Kroger and Save-A-Lot stores captured images of Davis, who was wearing an Ollie's Bargain Outlet shirt. Seidler said Davis had worked at the Bluefield, VA, department store for about a week before the crimes were committed, and was using the alias of Brian Cosby at the store. After the two guilty pleas were accepted by the court, defense attorneys William Flanagan and Brandon Austin requested a pre-sentencing hearing report, and Wills set sentencing in the case for July 30. Troopers with the West Virginia State Police Princeton Detachment arrested Davis at his Bluefield home June 4, 2016, soon after Morgan was attacked and robbed in the restroom at the Kroger store in Bluewell. Davis also assaulted and robbed Neal at the Save-A-Lot store in Brush Fork. Davis allegedly broke Neal's jaw in 3 places and knocked him unconscious before stealing his wallet. The investigating officer, Trooper D.B. Whited, said in an earlier report that Davis may have used brass knuckles during both assaults. The motive behind both attacks was to get enough money to buy crack cocaine, troopers said after the arrest. Troopers said after an arrest was made that Davis is a high-ranking member of the Crips street gang and a federal fugitive out of San Diego. He was wanted in California for a federal gun violation. Davis told investigators that he had been living in West Virginia and Virginia, but refused to say how long he had been working in the region. In an earlier interview, Sergeant A.P. Christian described Davis as a dangerous man who was a decision-maker or shot caller for the infamous California street gang.